Hello again, lovelies, and welcome back to Mama G Gear. It's Mama G here, and we are having another unconventional tutorial. And this is almost an FO. I have a little bit to do, and then we're done. Another sweater. Yes, I'm going to call my sweaters Snugglicious sweaters because I really do. It's my favorite item to crochet. All right, this particular sweater. And again, there's no pattern, there's no tutorial, just did it on my own, and I'm explaining to you sort of how I did it so you can broaden your creative horizons, okay, or whatever. Instead of doing 3 panels, like a lot of sweaters, you have your 2 front panels, which is half and half of what the back is, or maybe a little bit more if you're more endowed in the front. Unlike me, but this particular type of style that I do, I'm going to try to fit it on here, is you really kind of start it almost like you're doing a blanket. So disregard the brim, trim, rim, whatever you want to call it, on the bottom. And I believe for me, it was, I think, 125 chains, loose chains, because I'm going to do stitches in there. So they're not like loose, but loose enough where it has some give. You don't want to go too tight because you want to have some stretch, and depending on what stitches you're using. And I believe it was 125 thereabouts, but you're going to do a chain knowing that it's going to crunch in a little bit, and that chain that you're doing, you want it to fit around your bra size, all right? Or your belly if that's bigger than your bra size. Some of us have a larger belly there than we are in other places. So whatever the largest part of that part of your body is, you want to make sure it's going to fit around there comfortably, because as you do stitches back into your single crochet chain, your chain, it might scrunch it. So make sure it has some give. All right, so I literally started off as a blanket, basically. And if you really like it as a blanket, just keep on going. If you rather make it into a sweater, do what I'm telling you here. So straight back and forth, back and forth. The stitches, what I did do a repeat. I believe this sweater, oh gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's probably a 7-row repeat. Just, I just do a row without any thought. Write down the stitch that I did. I don't have it with me. A piece of paper that I wrote on, post it, and then the next row, write down what stitch you did, and so on and so forth. And then when you get to where you want to repeat that pattern, you got reference of what you did, because I often forget what I did, and then I can't necessarily tell if there was a single crochet in between the two. So I just kept on going until I got to the length of where I wanted the sweater. Now, mind you, I did add a trim on the bottom. So consider that when you're figuring your length, all right? If you're going to add a trim, then you may want to go a little shorter because you're adding whatever. Like this is probably 2 inches that I added on the bottom, but I wanted it longer. All right. So when you get your blanket to the point where it's going to go under your arms, now's the fun part. If you notice, I'm going to flip this over for a hot sec here. Bear with me. So now I've got into, let's see if I can remember how I did this. I wanted to keep the color flow of this is rainbow, yeah. Red Heart Bitty Stripes. I don't know the colorway. If I remember, I'll throw it in the description box. I do like this yarn. It's a 4-weight acrylic and very warm and beautiful colors. A lot of the colorways they have are really gorgeous. So when I got to the point where, okay, yeah, I'm ready to do armpits and sleeves, instead of going circular like I often do, I wanted to extend the design down the sleeves and also try to do a little bit of color control as far as the colors going together. But you could see I went straight across the back. So when I got to that point, I measured it out you fold it like you would do a sweater. If you need it bigger in the front, add a little extra in the front, or you could always add a trim in the front and fold it, and then figure your half and half, all right? And that's where you're going to start with your sleeves. For me, what I do is I attach the yarn, the new yarn that I'm going to be using, and then chain how many stitches I feel I need for the length of the sleeve. Now, I also wanted to do a little cuff on the end, so I didn't make them too terribly long, hopefully. And I do a chain down there, and then I look and see, all right, so where was I on this stitch? The next stitch was this double crochet. So then when I got to the end, chain 2, went back with the double crochet. All right. Also, on the other side, I did the same thing. I tied another yarn, another skein, and did the same number of chains on the other side and just left the ball attached because that's going to be the other side of the sleeve. So then go across all the way to the other side. Oh, got the other work in progress here on the table. All the way to the other side, turn around and continue. And so now I've got the whole bottom of the sweaters done. And now I'm going back and forth from side to side, end of the sleeve to the end of the sleeve, all the way to the top where I have added a hood on, but got to the top of the sweater, okay, to where I want to connect it on the top of my shoulders. So now the back panel with that is done. And I can, wherever I finished off on either side, cut my thread. We're good. All right, now, again, my thing is with me here, my other project. Now we have to add this front side panel and sleeve, and also this front side panel and sleeve, the top part. So I already have the chain on the sleeve and the back of the sleeve done. So I started here. You could start it this way, whichever. You know, maybe there's a rhyme or reason for it if you want to see the stitches looking a certain way, depending on the stitches you're using. And then continued doing exactly the same thing, starting from that end, and did the stitch that needed to be done all the way. Now this again has a trim, so disregard that, to where it matches up with where I went from the back, that full panel, back and forth till I got to the top where I'm going to connect it at the shoulder, and did the same thing for the other sleeve. Attach the yarn either on the sleeve and coming in, or the front and going out, whatever, depending on your stitches, and created the top part. And this is where I did a little color control because I kind of wanted it to look like it's going across, because I don't usually do color control, but this I did. All right, so then I added a little bit of a trim coming out, or you know, where you crochet. I think I chained 5, went back, slip stitch, went back up, came back, slip stitch, you know, against this. Any of these stitches, you can look them up. I'm not going to go into the stitches. If you don't know how to do trim, there's plenty of videos. And went from the top to the bottom of the sweater. This is a pretty long sweater. It's going to go past my buttocks. And it was a little bit too fluffy or stretchy looking for me. So then I did go back over with a chain stitch to tighten it up a little bit. Again, I got to cut some ends off. I went with a chain stitch to kind of tighten that up a little. And then it still was a little stretchy. So I'm just making sure before I open my mouth here. All right, I didn't do this what I'm not going to tell you that because I didn't do that yet. All right, I'll get back to it. Remind me to get back to that. So now disregard the hood, and I just tied on and went around across to where the shoulders meet, because you do want to leave space when you're making a sweater when you're attaching your top, leave the space open for your collar. I know some people make that mistake and go all the way in, and then it's, you have to have space for your neck, So from here to here is where I tied the sleeves on either end. So I had an opening here. So I started here, went around. When I get to the connection of the top of the sleeve, I do an increase there. When I get to the back, the center, I do an increase there. Again, on the other connection here, I do an increase. I occasionally do increases when I'm doing a hood. This way it gives it more of a Wuthering Heights kind of pointy, like this kind of hood. All right. And again, back and forth, just straight across, straight across, straight across, work my way up until when I hold it up, it looks like it's going to fit on top of my head properly. Then on the inside, I just did I think this is a chain stitch. You could do a slip stitch, whatever, and start from the connection in front and work your way to the point in back. Because if you start in the back, plus your yarn is right here. So always start in the front. This way, if you screw up a little bit and you missed a stitch, you're not going to notice it on the back. All right. Then I wanted to add a double crochet around the edge. Okay. Because it tightens it up. It gives it a finished look. But what I have the option now of doing, if it is a little bit too flopsy-mopsy, I can weave in, I can crochet a chain and weave in and out of this stitch and have ties to be able to tie the hood if I wanted to. Another option. And then I went back. I felt like this was really annoying me, that it was still a little wavy in the front. So after I did the single crochet going all the way down, I came back, and let's show you here so you see better as different colors. I went back and did a nice tight slip stitch all the way down the top of that single crochet, just to give it to tighten it up a little bit more. All right. Then went to the bottom, or I had already done the bottom here and then did the slip stitch. And I believe I did do the slip stitch going down all the way past the trim on the bottom, and then also did a single crochet on the bottom just to keep it flat, because sometimes you know how it rolls. Like these, see how they're kind of rolling? And that's how the back of the trim looked. So I went around it, and I will do it also on the sleeves, a single crochet just to tighten it up and keep it from rolling. But then I did the same trim that I did in the bottom on the sleeves. All I need to do to finish this is cut a few ends, stitch this sleeve up, which I'll go on the inside, and probably just slip stitch it. Or sometimes I take a needle and just, sew it up. And then I'll do a single crochet around the trim and then tie in those ends. And that snugglicious sweater, sorry, I'm dropping stuff on the ground. That snugglicious sweater is finished once I'm done with that. And then I had some extra yarn. So this hat here, I used the similar pattern, row pattern that I did in the sweater. I do my hats bottomed up because this is the hardest part, is fitting it around your head. So to me, it makes more sense to do the head part and then work your way up than going from the top and getting down to the bottom. And then it's like, 1.5 sizes too big. So it's literally a chain going back up. I do back loop only all the way. And then I try it on to see how it fits my head. Then before I connect it, I do a single crochet around that end, connect it on the inside, then go around often with a single crochet. This way I'm starting the hat pattern with a clean base. And this one here is a similar design to the sweater. I think because the top part you have to decrease. So you got to kind of fudge that a little bit. And I still had some more of the yarn And this is such a pretty rainbow bitty stripes that I made another hat, same beginning, single crochet, double crochet, and then I crisscrossed on there. I do have a unconventional tutorial on how to do this idea. I have not seen to this point anybody do the way I do this, so I mean, they do it similar, but I do it a little bit different. And then did a crisscross, then another, I think probably half double or double crochet, and then a crisscross, yada yada, blah blah blah. Then decrease, pull it in, cinch it, tie it up, and made another hat. There is still a little bit left. I believe I had four skeins of this yarn, and with that I was able to make that very big sweater with the hoodie, 2 hats, and there's a little bit left that I might do. We call them warmies, you guys call them fingerless gloves. I might have enough to do a set of fingerless gloves, and I think that the very large sweater and the hat that matches it and the fingerless gloves will probably go into a giveaway or an auction or something, because I have way too many sweaters and I just love making them. And I did make it a little larger than me because I'm super small. So I made it a little larger for me so it fits more normal people. Anyway, that's my unconventional tutorial for the day, and love you guys. Don't forget your thumbs. I appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, I appreciate you would subscribe if you wouldn't mind, and hit that bell. We do lives on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No, I lied. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's me and my daughter, Rusty. And we just shenanigans, laughs, talk about life. We're real people here. Everybody is welcome as long as you're not a jerk. And there's no bullying allowed on our channel. We're just very accepting. As long as you're an accepting, open-minded person, you are more than welcome into our Yarnalicious family. Anyway, all right, bye-bye for now. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.